What's up everybody and welcome to the video. In this video we're going to finish up with this modal. Last time we got it all styled so it's actually a modal with a backdrop and it sits in the middle of the screen. This time what we're going to do is we're going to make it so that you can toggle it open and closed, and also we're going to insert the cart into it, and that's done with something called slots, which is basically what allows you in Svelte to load components in as children or elements in as children. So let's go ahead and get started. What we'll do is first we'll get the modal working, because right now it's always true or false. So we have to get it so that it has a toggle in order to open it. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to set it up so that you can have show modal as a prop. So let's go ahead and export show modal so that you can access it where in the app component. So let's head back into the app component and we'll set it up so that we can use this prop show modal to show the modal. So we'll set up let show modal. Then we're going to set the prop within the modal. So we'll do show modal. So this would be the shorthand. If the variable matches the name you're going to give it within the component, you can just do it in curly braces as a shorthand rather than show modal equals show modal. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set up a button with an on click. And inside here, we're going to toggle the modal. And we'll just name this cart. And let's set up this function. So we got const toggle modal equals and the way that this works is you're just going to set show modal equal to not show modal. So it's basically going to flip it over into the opposite of what it is. So if we go into modal and we set this to false and we save, and then we save this, you'll see that that's gone. Let's go ahead and comment this out for now so it's not there. So now we just have our cart button. If we hit it, it pops up. It's there, but now we have no way to close it. So let's get that all set up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give the modal a close button. I also want to be able to close the modal by clicking on the background and also using the escape key. This is good for accessibility so that you have multiple ways. If someone doesn't have a mouse, they can target either the X button or they can hit the escape key. So let's give it the ability to close. So what we're going to have to do here is in the modal, we're going to have to pass an on click. We're going to pass an on click event into the modal with the toggle modal function passed in. So we'll save that. And then what we'll do is I'm going to give it a button to start. So let's give it a button. And it's going to be an X. And we're going to pass the on click back up to its parent function. So in order to do that, you can just pass on click. And then we'll give it a class equal to close. So basically this on click is going to bubble back up to the app since it has nothing set. That's just the way Svelte does it. So then for our close styles, we're going to give it a position of absolute. We want the button to be a bit bigger, so let's give it 25 pixels. We want it to sit in the top right of the screen. So top is going to be 10 pixels. Right is going to be 10 pixels. Give it a height of 30 pixels. Opacity 0.3. Background none. Margin 0, padding 0. So what this is going to do is this is going to set it absolute. So what we actually have to do is we have to give the modal a position of relative so that that absolute positioning is within the modal, not the whole screen. So if we give this a position of relative and we save that, now you see there is an X button, so we can close it. So let's set it up to also close on the backdrop. So what we can do is we can set it up to have an on click, and that'll make it so that if you click anywhere on the backdrop, it'll close. But there is a problem because if you do click on the actual modal, it will close it. So in order to fix that, you can give it an event modifier of self. So an event there are a bunch of different event modifiers that you can put onto these events that modify the way that they behave. One of the most popular ones that you'll see is prevent default. Like when you're submitting a form, sometimes you want to prevent the default, which causes the page to reload. But in this instance, we're just going to give it a tag, an event modifier of self. And as you see, if you click on the modal, anywhere but the X, it doesn't close. But if you click on the background, it will close. Now, you do notice that there are some squigglies. There is a accessibility library built into Svelte. There is a problem with it though, because it's saying that it wants this to have an on key down, key up, or key press event. Key press has actually been deprecated within Svelte. So I just want to show you as an example. If we do on key down and we just set like handle key down, and then we set up a function. Let's do const on key down equals oh, I did this wrong. Handle key down. Got capitals and stuff all over the place. All right, so we set it up so that you have a handle key down function. If we save that and we inspect and we go to the console, you'll see that it, like I'm typing on the keyboard, it's not getting those events. Even if we try to pass it as an event here, it doesn't actually notice it. I think it's because of something with the focus of the element. So if we do this, it's still not seeing the key events. It's really weird. So this message is not really that great because you can't actually put the key down on the div element itself because it's not focused. So what I've found is the fix for this is you disable this right for this line. And what you can do is outside of the conditional, you can add the Svelte window on key down. And then we could do handle on key down. What am I doing here? On key down as the event, and then we can handle it as on key down. No, handle key down. And then if we close this and save it, now what you'll see is it does see the keyboard events. So what we'll do is we'll set this up to have if event.key equals escape. Equals escape. We will show modal equals false. And then what that'll do is if we go back over here, we open it up. If we hit escape, it'll close. If we hit any other key, it doesn't close it. So now we have it set up so that we can open and close the modal, and it's accessibility friendly. Sadly though, we either have to ignore it or you just have to put, the other option is you cannot ignore it and you just have to put an on : key down, which is really dumb. And it clears up that error. So now it works. So let's get rid of this console log. So now that we have the modal actually opening and closing, the next step is to get the cart into the modal. So in order to get the cart inside of the modal, what we have to do is, right now we have this hard-coded hello, I am a modal. What we'll do is we'll change this to a slot. And what a slot is it's basically a piece of code that allows you to inject children into a component. So what we'll do is we'll save that, and here we will make it not a closed tag, and we will put the cart right into the modal. So we'll cut this, place it in there, and that's going to fill that slot. So if we save that, we open it up, you'll see that you have your cart within the modal. So if we add something to the cart, you'll see that you get it, but it is a little bit funny. So what we have to do is we have to set it up. We have to style the buttons and get the stuff to actually fit in there. And part of getting the cart to work correctly in the modal is we do have to kind of split up the title and the actual items, because you're going to want to make this modal just a little bit bigger, but you're also going to want the modal to be able to overflow and scroll as the items get bigger. So what we'll do is we're going to work with a concept called named slots. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to take we're going to have to go into the cart. So let's set up a slot with the name equal to header. And then what we can do in this header is we can remove this title here so that the cart is just actually the items in the cart. And then here what we'll do is we can feed in an h1 with the name equal to header, and we can give it the title of cart. I'm sorry, we have to give this a slot name of header so that that'll feed in to where we have this slot name header. So if we save that, you'll see that we split it off, but it still does show up. So that's the concept of named slots. That's good if you have multiple different items that you want to pass in, and then you can modify those items based on what they need to be. So we do have the modal working. We have the cart slotted or passed in as a child. If you have any questions about anything I did in this video, definitely let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe to the channel. There'll be a lot more videos on everything development, and I hope to see you in the next one.